people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. It's fight week. It's fight week for Spain's own defending EBU champion, Tania Alvarez, who will meet the United Kingdom's own Healy this weekend in defense of the navy blue belt in the women's super bantamweight division for a contest scheduled for 10 rounds. Tania Alvarez, the defending champion, 23 years old, sports a professional record of 12 wins with 1 loss, no draws, 2 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 13 professional bouts to Healy, 27. Sports a professional record of 9 wins with 1 loss, no draws, no recorded knockouts, having never been knocked out in 10 professional bouts. The slightly taller, longer fighter of the two, best described as the boxer, versus Tania Alvarez, who would be the puncher. Healy last saw action in November of last year opposite the ring Ashley Johnson, who she beat by way of a unanimous decision over 10 rounds. She actually saw action two times last year, once in July, then again in November. Currently on a 3-fight winning streak, putting a bit of distance between herself and that decision loss to Nina Hughes in June of 2023. She's fought 3 times since then and won 3 times since then. Over to Tania Alvarez, who also last saw action in November of last year, and she also fought 2 times last year, once in April, then again in November, currently on a 5-fight winning streak, since having dropped a decision to Sky Nicholson in February of 2023. She's fought 5 times since then and won 5 times since then. She will have home field advantage on the night. As stated, Healy is a boxer and a mover, a jabber, and what bothers her is pressure. That's what we saw in the Nina Hughes fight, where she suffered her first professional loss, and Tania Alvarez likes to apply pressure. She's a pressure fighter who will have home field advantage. So even though Tania Alvarez is rough around the edges, and there is a lot more work needs doing because she's very crude, if you've seen her. She's a pressure fighter like Nina Hughes, but she's not as put together as a Nina Hughes. I see a situation where Tania Alvarez, with a bit of home cooking, may win the fight on activity and activity alone, more so than effectiveness. It's not saying that she can't win the fight legitimately. That's saying that if they have to resort to robbing Healy, they will. By hook or by crook, I expect Tania Alvarez to have her hand raised this weekend and retain the EBU title. I want to say that Tania has some good raw ingredients, and with the right corner, she can be better. She can improve, but she seems quite comfortable with the arrangement that she has. Still very early in her career, and she is still very young, 23 years old. But if she has any aspirations of one day fighting for a full title, a full alphabet title, things are going to need to change, things are going to need to improve, and she herself may need to branch out. Not dissimilar from what we saw from Ramla Ali when she relocated from the UK to the West Coast to train with Manny Robles, or Yo Costavalle, who's trained with anyone from Coach G to Panda Nahar. Sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to expand your horizons. You have to get out of your comfort zone. That's where real growth happens. Real change. The way things are now, she's good enough to beat a Healy on points. I think she can. I think she will. But if you start talking about world titles and world level opponents, this is a deep division. Look at who the champions are. I wouldn't give Tania Alvarez any kind of odds to win a belt from any of them. The silver lining is that she's still young. She's only 23 years old, so there's plenty of time down the line to make additions to the corner, to make improvements. For now, I think she's going to beat Katie Healy this weekend. I think she's going to stay EBU champion. Men's lightweight news. The World Boxing Council has gone ahead and ordered the fight between Shakur Stevenson, the champion, and William Zepeda, the challenger. The World Boxing Council, on Monday, ordered a mandatory lightweight title fight between its champion, Shakur Stevenson, and number one contender, William Zapeda, sources told The Ring. The sides have 30 days to negotiate, and if no deal is struck by May 6th, the fight will be scheduled for purse bid. The development comes after Stevenson, 23-0, with 11 KOs, revealed Saturday on social media that he rejected His Excellency Turki El Sheikh's offer to fight Zapeda this summer, saying, "Turki promised me a number, and now he's going way back on that number and sending his towel boys to run me the info. Mr. De La Hoya, now let's negotiate," Stevenson wrote. "I'm still champion and ain't pulling out of anything. If we can't reach a deal, then purse bids it is." The World Boxing Council was still determining the purse split, sources said. As this went to publication, Stevenson's side requested 70-30 in favor of the champion, while Golden Boy Promotions asked for 55-45. Stevenson, after rejecting El Sheikh's final offer, stands to earn 70% less if he proceeds with the purse bid process, depending on what the split the WBC determines is. I don't know what number Turki offered Shakur Stevenson. I don't know what exactly he rejected, but he has to weigh that number against what he stands to make if this goes to purse bid, which could be even less. Stevenson, of course, can always opt to relinquish the title if he's not satisfied with the outcome of the process. The 27-year-old who fights out of Houston is the ring's number one lightweight. He's coming off a 9th-round knockout over fringe contender Josh Padley in February at Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Padley accepted his first title challenge during fight week. Stevenson was set to fight contender Floyd Schofield, who withdrew with an illness. That was Stevenson's first bout after wrist surgery that scrapped the title defense versus Joe Cordina back in October of last year. Few passing thoughts. In the subsequent days and weeks that have followed Shakur's knockout win over Josh Padley, you haven't seen any effort from the Floyd Schofield side of things to reschedule that fight with Shakur, that if you were okay to fight him in Riyadh, but you fell ill, and that's what it really was, you got sick. Okay then, just reschedule the fight. And as stated, we've seen absolutely no effort from Team Schofield to reschedule a fight with Shakur Stevenson, which leads me to believe that guy wasn't sick. That's all bullshit. You got cold feet at the last minute and decided to pull out. We haven't seen any effort from the Schofields to do a fight with Shakur. What we have seen is some interest in putting Floyd Schofield in the ring with Tevin Farmer. After Tevin's latest loss to William Zapeda in what was their rematch, I saw a blurb from Oscar De La Hoya mentioning Tevin Farmer as a potential opponent for Floyd Schofield. Tevin Farmer, who's coming off of 3 consecutive losses, 1 to Raymond Muratalla and 2 to William Zapeda. And now you want to put him in the ring with Floyd, another protected Golden Boy Promotions fighter. You guys never really wanted to fight Shakur Stevenson. You just piped up throwing his name around for press. You didn't figure that a fight would actually get made, so that when it did, you were painted into a corner, and all you could do was call in sick. You never wanted to fight that guy. Over to William Zapeda and Golden Boy Promotions, who went as far as requesting a 55-45 split. Almost half. Ridiculous. Now, I've long maintained that Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions don't want to make this fight. And here is yet another example. How could you possibly think you're going to get this fight done at 55-45? The first example was Oscar De La Hoya holding the fight to ransom, saying that unless Shakur Stevenson signs the Golden Boy, he's not going to make the fight. That was the first example. Now here's another. You think you're supposed to get damn near 50-50 to fight Shakur? Damn near half the pot. Now you guys know I'm not a fan of pure boxes, but the fact of the matter is Shakur Stevenson has sold upwards of 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 tickets. How many tickets has William Zapeda sold that he thinks he's supposed to get 45% of the pot? Now, my interpretation of Golden Boy's request for a 55-45 split is that's their way of sabotaging this fight. That if by some chance the World Boxing Council were to grant them this request, Shakur might not fight. And if he doesn't fight, the belt is forfeit, which is what Golden Boy is hoping for, that William can get the belt without a fight. That doesn't mean the World Boxing Council is going to grant them this request. That just means that's what they're hoping for. But I see no reason that the World Boxing Council would or should allow this for William to get 45% of the pot. Buddy, you're just the challenger. You're not the champion. And you ain't that big a draw either. Tania's situation is peculiar because you can see that Golden Boy Promotions doesn't really want to make this fight, but William stands a legitimate chance of winning. He's got the right base style and the right work rate for the job. Pure boxers hate pressure guys like William Zepeda, but for whatever reason, Golden Boy is sandbagging it. When you ask for 55-45, you can't be serious. And if they can't reach a deal amicably and amongst themselves, it goes to purse bid on May 6th. My question is, what's Matchroom's role in all of this? Is Shakur Stevenson still with them? And if he is, are they going to put the money up to ensure the fight happens on Shakur's terms and not Golden Boy's? What is Matchroom going to do? What is Turkey going to do? Initially, Turkey was the one trying to put the fight on, then the price changed. At least that's what the story is, that he gave Shakur one number 1 minute, and the number changed the next. Shakur didn't like it, now it might go to purse bid. Even worse, that if the fight goes to purse bid, you may end up with even less than what Turkey offered you. Not the first time. The second time, that Turkey's second offer, the one you didn't like, might still be for a greater value than going to a purse bid, rolling the dice on a purse bid. This fight is getting to be more trouble than it's worth. I mean, it's a good fight. I think it's a good fight, but it shouldn't be this difficult to make. It's just Stevenson versus Zapeda, for God's sake. Men's super middleweight news. Former champion Caleb Plant is only focused on Resendiz despite Charlo link. Caleb Plant has admitted that while his next card slot alongside rival Charlo is no accident, he only has eyes for Jose Armando Resendiz and will take care of business accordingly on May 31st. Speaking over a video link to Mauro Ronaldo and Abner Mares during last night's broadcast of Tim Kazoo versus Joey Espensor on Amazon Prime, Plant stated that Charlo grabbing his beard at the Spence versus Crawford weigh-in back in 2023 was a step too far. Sweet Hands is now ready to deal with him after they've both taken care of business in Vegas in separate bouts. I've explained it a couple of times in interviews, but basically, him thinking he was going to bully me and he was pulling on my beard, I pushed him off and told him to stop, Plant explained on Slapgate. The smartest thing he could do was to do it again. You can't walk around just letting people put hands on you when and where they want. That's a no-fly zone for me. It's unfortunate. It's not something that I'm trying to brag about, or I don't feel like it makes me tough or cool, but at the same time, I'm going to defend myself when somebody steps to me in that manner. It's no coincidence. Same fight date, Charlo will face Thomas Lamana. Hopefully he can handle his business and we'll get it on later in the year. Right now, I'm fully focused on the task in front of me though. I don't care about Charlo. I don't care about any of the other super middleweights. I care about handling business. Buddy, this thing with you and Jamal was over a year ago. Back in 2023. Whatever momentum, whatever steam, whatever anything a fight with you and Jamal had, it's all but dissipated. It's cult product. People don't view Jamal in the same light as they did circa 2018 or 2019. In 2025, the guy's a wino. It's tantamount to getting into a scuffle with a bum outside of your local 7-Eleven. What's the point? As Plant agreed with former world champion Abner Mares, overlooking the next opponent in favor of a more lucrative foe down the road is a well-trodden path to defeat. Dealing with Resendiz in a manner similar to how Plant dealt with his last opponent, Trevor McCumbee, is first on the agenda. And their September meeting, Plant climbed off the deck, made the necessary adjustments, and stopped his unbeaten foe in round 9 to record stoppage number 14 and learned a little bit more about his own strength and resolve. Every fight is a different puzzle. So after that puzzle, just being able to walk away with that experience, the knockdown, getting hit on the arm in round 4, it was counted as a knockdown, was a great reminder and a reiteration to stay calm, stay cool through the good and the bad that happens in boxing. Stay focused on the game plan. And we did just that, made a few adjustments, made them quickly, and as soon as we did, it was good night. Further fight adjustments will be needed for his next opponent, Mexican brawler Resendiz. Described by Plant as a tough Latino fighter coming to win, Resendiz may have already displayed his career level, and it's not at the point Plant has previously reached. I know he's coming with a lot of fire. He's got a couple of good fights under his belt that I'm sure he's got experience from stopping Jarrett Hurd. And I know that he had a big back and forth with Elijah Garcia. He's moved up to super middle since then and is ranked in the top 15. I'm excited to let that bell ring and do what I do best. As a former champion who has only lost to Canelo and David Benavidez, 2025 is likely to be a pivotal year for Plant. As the Tennessee native explained to Ronaldo, nothing less than a one-step-at-a-time mentality will suffice. Man, I just need to have an impressive win against Resendiz, and then, later this year, me and Charlo get after it. This doubleheader is not being billed as a pay-per-view. It will be made available to all existing Amazon subscribers at no additional charge. This card, but the next one, Caleb Plant versus Jermall Charlo, they're not just going to give that away. They're going to bill it as a pay-per-view. The question is, do you want to buy it?
I don't.
No, sir. We're getting better fights than this, better pay-per-views at a lower price point that you shouldn't have to pay $80 to see Caleb Plant pounce on a wino. A booze hound. Jermall Charlo has been on a downward spiral for something like 3 or 4 years now. Mental health issues and withdrawing out of fights, stints of inactivity, long stints of inactivity. So why would anybody be excited to see him fight Caleb? They talked about him tugging on Caleb's beard well over a year ago, but Caleb slapped him in the face. He slapped him. He smacked the shit out of him. And when he did, Jermall Charlo didn't do anything about it. He was docile, likely as a result of whatever drugs he was on. Whatever influence he was under. All of this is a byproduct of Caleb's continued time at the PBC. He doesn't want to leave the island. That perhaps if you went to Matchroom or Top Rank, they would have better options for you. But because you insist on staying at the PBC, this is the best they can do. Resendiz? Then Jermall. This is too deep a division for sorry-ass fights like this. Don't forget that Malakuziev is here, Munguia, Mabili, Pacheco, Martinez, Lester Martinez, that kid that Bomac is training. This is too deep a division for sorry-ass fights like Plant versus Resendiz en route to Plant versus Charlo? Who cares? Charlo doesn't need another fight. He needs a trip to the Betty Ford Center. Caleb Plant is the WBA regular champion, meaning he's the guy in a pole position to become the full WBA champion, or at minimum, challenge for the full title if and when the time comes. No, I don't think it will, because Canelo Alvarez is still full champion. And I don't think for a second the WBA would strip Canelo to give a title to Caleb. Especially since Canelo knocked him out already. But that's what's in it. That's what's in it for Resendiz, and that's what's in it for Jermall. If you fight Caleb and you beat him, you get your own WBA trinket title that isn't worth very much. I think this entire 2-fight sequence is a giant waste of time, but Caleb's willing to waste it. Question is, are you guys willing to watch it?